This is my fence post topper. Doesn't look like much, and it's not much, but it'll help you perfectly cut level, straight tops to your fence posts. For too often, I tried using a circular saw. I would mark out the line all the way around the fence post where I wanted the cut to go, and then I would cut it across with my circular saw. And without fail, I always had some kind of a lip where the lines just didn't line up perfectly. With this tool, I never have a problem. It's always perfectly flush and perfectly level. Design is pretty simple. It's a couple of pieces of angle iron, 1/8 inch angle iron. This is 1 inch angle iron. I recommend using 1.5 inches, even 2. And that's because these 9/16 inch bolts, they hit the nuts and the screws when you are adjusting the head. It doesn't look like it now, but trust me, they do. Actually, and also you get the washers that get hung up on the screw heads. I actually ended up flattening one end of a washer to make it easier to fit in there. And if it had just been a 1/2 inch, a 1.5 inch or a 2 inch angle iron, I could have mounted this a little bit higher and it wouldn't have been a problem. So, as I said, it's a couple of pieces of angle iron, 4 pieces. These are about 6 inches, 7 inches long. I think if you go with the wider angle iron, you don't need to go with a wider design. But if you do the 1 inch angle iron, I would go make these a little bit longer, like 8 inches or so. And that way you can have these screws and the bolts in different locations and they won't interfere with one another. So all this is, you join the two ends together, and in between you can see there's 2 washers sitting in there. And that's because once this is mounted on a fence post like this, you use a reciprocating saw and you slide the reciprocating saw blade through one side and out the other, and this acts as a support for the blade to cut across. So once you mark out a perfectly level line across, you just line up the bottom. You just line up the bottom edge of the bracket with your line on both sides, and then you have a level guide. And once you cut it, your cut will be level, and you won't have any lips or anything like that because you'll just be going straight across with your Sawzall blade. To make one of these, as I said, you just need 4 pieces of angle iron, 2 bolts. These are 9/16 long, a couple of washers, a couple of nuts, and then to join the 2 pieces of angle iron together, you just need a small machine screw, a couple of washers inside, and a nut on the end. And that's it. Then you just slide it over the top, and then you can adjust your screws. Usually, I leave one end at the width. I set up my first cut, and then I'll leave one side or the other always set up to the correct width. Then when I need to remove the bracket, I just undo one side, take it off, slide it back over onto the next post, and then tighten down the one side. Otherwise, you have to tighten up both sides. Not a big deal, just saves you a little bit of time. It probably costs, I've had this now for a few years, so I'm not quite sure what angle iron's going for these days. I don't know if it's like lumber and you need a second mortgage on your house to buy a sheet of plywood. But the angle iron isn't all that expensive. And don't get aluminum, because aluminum can easily be cut with a blade. So you don't want to be gouging into the aluminum. Use angle iron, and that way you don't have to worry about accidentally cutting into the bracket. Let me show you how it works. So I mark out where I want to put it, basically right in line with the top of the fence. So I put a mark here, wrap it around the post. Just so I can see it when I put it on the post where it's supposed to go. Now I loosen up one end a little bit so that it can slide on easy. The other end basically stays put at the same spot. And then you take your attitude adjustment tool and you tighten it up so that or slide it up so that the lines sit right on the bottom plate. And then you cut. Blade fits right in. Goes straight across. And it's off. Come up here, and you got a nice smooth top, level with the top of your fence, and you can do that all the way down the fence. Obviously, you can use the fence post topper anytime you want to level off a 4x4 or a 6x6 if that's what you're using. I just happen to use it for fences that I've installed, and it's worked great. Also, you can use it to set the height of the post before even attaching the fence and line it up anywhere on the fence that you like, whether the top of the crossbar or the top of the fence like I did. You can use it for pergolas, anything where you'd want to have a level cut on a post. Okay, thanks for watching.